see if we've got some donations to happen here. I have a $5 donation from Nuttall, who says, as a girl whose actual name is Jolene, I am so happy to be included in all of this. Glad that we can help.
Hi, どうもどうも。
Just to go over the prizes that you probably saw in the interview right before the Quest for Glory collection. Over this whole section, we've got the art print of Arana's Palace.
ちょっとまあ作業するんで、一旦ちょっと配信から消えます。
And actual copies of the Quest for Glory collection all being given away. And those will go through the end of the next game, which is Planescape Torment. And get your donations in for those. So you may have seen that Pizza Elemental run and heard me talk about the prizes earlier. I'm probably pretty loud in the entire room, so we have noticed some talk about incentives and prizes, and that does mean that you get to basically vote with your wallet to name characters or get our runners to complete difficult or quite awesome Pizza Elemental related tasks. You can get to pick which story you see in certain games, all kinds of options. You can also become eligible to win prizes donated by community members of RPG Limit Break and others. All those donations do still go to NAMI, which is the National Line on Mental Illness. And if you want more information, check the channel bio for a link to the 2019 tracker, or head over to our website, rpglimitbreak.com, and click on the tracker at the top. Well, it's about time to find out, are you a street samurai? Are you a shaman, orc, or troll? It's time to move to the Seattle sprawl. Take it away, Gyre, chummer.
Thank you very much there, Bob. So, I'm Gyre. I've got high spirits here. This is Shadowrun for the Sega Genesis, the best version of Shadowrun overall. We'll talk a little bit about how Shadowrun works throughout this, but the first thing I'm going to do is just power cycle the console, because roughly at the start of the game, you've got this very limited time before it'll start spawning in. And this is one of those old school hard RPGs that will just murder you. So we'll go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to be playing as Shaman, by the way. Thanks for asking there, Bob. That's because the Shaman just starts with the most amount of money, and you really have a very, very weak main character here. So you don't have anything real good
はい、
for his classes.
戻りました。シャドウランでございますが、私これ知らないんだよね。メガドラはそう、まあ結構いろいろ持ってたけど、これは持ってなかったんでちょっとわからない。
We've got our main character who really doesn't know much about what's going on. Your brother has been murdered. You're trying to find out why.
で、
all
なん
of
か
this stuff off because I don't really need this.
一応今確認したんですけど、
Big thing throughout a lot of the
全
game,
然
and
国
so
内
by selling
国内版と違
is a
う。
easier way of getting through these early stories.
解
Go
説
ahead,
できない
grab
よ
your
こ
brother's
れ。
last remnants that they were storing there, and let's go
の
start trying to
国
unravel
内
this
版
mystery
は
here. Main method transportation, of course.
全然キャラ違うんですよ。
Gyre can tell us all about how that traffic situation is looking like right now.
You know, I've been to Redmond
解説できないんですよこれ。まあできると思ったんですけど、
So
一応
basically,
や
Shadowrun
ったこ
universe
とあるにあるからいけると思ったら 全然違う。
came out, and they kind of keep tracking the universe as time goes on. So now it's in like the 2070s for the modern Shadowrun, but it all kind of started in 2012, which is when the Mayan calendar
ね、システム的なものはま
kind of this concept of ages, where you have
あ
different
まあ
series of
古代の
events throughout the world.
魔法が蘇った近未来 SF 世界っていうまあ世界観でやってるんですけど、だから
turn back into elves and orcs and things, but it's still set in the future. So you get this kind of Blade Runner mix all the way. By the way, this is a Death Warp. So we're just
だからほら今みたいに街並みはすごい近未来なんですけど魔法使ってるでしょ。だから結構ファンタジーとかファンタジー感満載のなんですかね、サイバーバンクって言えばいいんですかね。
really a party system. That's why I like the Genesis version.
何でもあり。
Getting a party is really
で一応まあこの主人公、まあ、プレイヤーキャラですけど、まあ、それがまあこれ一応非合法でやってるんだったかな、なんかね、それでまあね、仕事をまあ仕事ですよね、これ仕事をまあどんどんやっていくっていう。
So why are they gator shaman?
So these are just different classes. Like Ricky is a rat shaman, and his ability is to get bonus to invisibility here, which is what I'm taking advantage of quite a lot.
一応まあジャンルとしてはちゃんと RPG なので、まあまあそうそうそのね、皆さん言ってる通りT がついてるのが T って何かっていうと、まあテーブルトークってやつですね。なんか日本版だとちゃんとキャラが日本仕様になってるんですよ。主人公がマオっていう女の子で、ね、その子がその後仲間たちがまあ裏社会で活躍するっていうまあ話なんですけど、キャラが全然違う。でさっきのバーがシルバームーンっていうバーで、まあ、そこでまあ依頼を受けて仕事をしていくっていうやり方なんですけど、まあ日本語版だけですね。日本版だけ女の子です。まあほら、日本で受けるにはやっぱね、そういう日本らしい感じのキャラになったっていう。まあほら、アメリカではこういう方がやっぱりキャラ的にはいいんで、どうしても日本のねよくやるパターンの キャラだとやっぱ子供って見られちゃうんで、まあまあ海外ではこういうねごつい感じがまあ一般的なんですけど、
Go ahead, kick her out of the party. You don't need her anymore. And gonna use some of this money I bought to upgrade the RAM of our computer because we've got a really slow computer. Gotta get some more RAM here, and that'll be used.
リンクはですね、できればディスコードでRPG リミットブレイクっていうチャンネルがあるので、そこで貼っていただければ、はい。ちょっとこれもちょっと記述をちょっと足します。はい。パネルのところに、ディスコードに行って、まあリンクを貼りたい場合は貼ってくださいってちょっと足しますね。これちょっとまあ今までちょっとそれ入れてなかったんで、結構リンクが貼れないって結構ねあったんで、それは申し訳なかったです。ちょっとそれも忘れてて全然回転してなくてすみませんでした。
Relevancy to the main story is just for money and gear and stuff?
There's 2 side quests that are not part of the main storyline, and we'll do one of those 2, and I'll talk about it a little bit later when we get to it. Go ahead, grab it.
ありがとうございます。
Rihanna is an elven vampire computer hacker. She's awesome. One of the best deckers, which is the
class
that you are when you're a computer hacker in this game, that you can get for a temporary hire. And that way I don't have to have any actual computer hacking skills on my main character, which is kind of a waste.When you think about like all the combat stuff.
まあメインの話としてはほぼ同じですよね。
Just in case the game crashes later, this is necessary for that. No, I got a RAM encounter in like 3 thousandths of a second there. And we're gonna go ahead, jump into one of these runs. I've actually mapped out every single one of these maps. There's 24 in the game itself, and 12 of them are listed maps. This is a blue 4, which means I already know it's good.
全然ゲームが違うんだけど。もう全然ゲームが違ってて分かんないんだけど。
Normally CPUs are well protected by what are called ICEs, which are the intrusion control mechanisms. But by retreating out of the CPU, going back to this node that I've already been to.And retreating back onto the CPU, it places me on top of the CPU, and it doesn't know what to do here. So it says, oh, you must have beaten it, even though I haven't. I'm going to the data store in the back, and this is where they keep all of their confidential information. So we're going to go ahead and pop this data store open.
こんなのあったっけ？ちょっと待って、こんなのあったっけ？ああ、ないんだ。そうだよね。見たことない。もてあいの解説できない。
Allows you to avoid the battles. That's the little mask to the right there in terms of my moveset, but probably about like 7 minutes in here.
どうしようもないねこれ。
So I think Bob, you got a chance to get an information comment or 2 in here while I'm doing this.
Gotcha, Jummer.
なんかハッキングし、アタックし、なんか戦闘してますね。
Raving Sock Monkey who says, "Man, it's odd seeing Gyre run at this time of day, but I'm glad I can donate during his."
今これ戦闘中ですね。
And Mirioki says, Gyre, think I caught Dan embezzling from the Malmond relief.
攻撃当たった。
Can we put this to a better cause?
攻撃避けられた。攻撃避けられた。
Not enough ever. All right, so we're into the data store. Let's go ahead and steal some data. I can hold 5 total files with 200 size. I got 1 for 60 right now.Going into the first level alert, that's okay. We can reset that.
今の見てセイントセイヤを思い出してしまったんですけど、私。お、また新しいのが。
So even though I did get on top of it before, it doesn't continue to have that. There's 3 levels of alerts basically. There's a passive alert, active alert, and then you just get kicked out. So you really don't want that to happen, which is why I'm going ahead to cancel this one. Don't really want to take a chance on getting kicked out early.
まあまあ T 度はなんか意味があるんでしょう。
So back into the data store. Here was 2 for 80. That was that, right? I remember getting a 60.
手を広げる行為がなんか加速行為をしてるんじゃないでしょうかね。
3 for 120. This is just to get all the money that I'll need for the entire game. 4 for 170. I can maybe squeeze 1 more file out. Oh yeah, 5 for 190. Pretty good. I can hold maximum 5 files and 200 size. So we almost perfectly nailed that.
まあ電脳空間ですから。
The colors are blue, green, orange, red in terms of difficulty, then 1 through 7 for the levels within each color. Based on the color, that's going to determine how valuable these files are.
電脳空間ってことはまあ皆さん広角機動隊をイメージしてもらったらいいんじゃないですか。広角機動隊の電脳空間をイメージしてもらったらとりあえず イメージはつくんじゃないですかね。公安休暇の人はちゃんと手広げて飛んだりするでしょ。そんな感じだと思ってればいいと思いますけど。
Just they thought like, why would anyone crash a system that's not in a corporation? We're not even going to think about this.
I mean, these are the things that, like, when you're doing video game development, it can actually be really tough to test. One of the things that happens, though, this is just an in-memory bit of code that it has there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so if I reset,
なんか会話がまああっという間に終わっちゃったんでちょっと何の質問だったか見れてないですけど。
And I can reload my game because loading does not clear the flag out.
世界観としてはやっぱり日本語版と海外版とやっぱ同じですね。まあもともと海外で作られたやつをまあ日本仕様に持ってきたっていう感じですからね。
Okay, at least that makes a little more sense than just saying, hey, we're going to unlock every door because you decide to crash a random computer.
I mean, that's basically how the real world works too. So we're in Mitsuhama Corporation right now.
ステルススキル強いね。
Hacking runs here. I need this to get Aragorn, who's one of the Indian tribe people, so we're getting some friendship built up by rescuing him and taking him back to the tribe. But first, I'm going to go ahead and disable the security cameras in here because they're a really big pain on the 5th floor. I didn't get either Joshua or stuck on the wall there. If you can get one of them stuck in the wall, then it's a little bit of time saved for not having to walk back around.
So why are you crashing these corporations? Like, are you the hero, a better hero than Quest for Glory, or?
I mean, that's basically how heroes are in this game. The computer programmers are like #1 in this universe. Well, that and people that shoot people in the face. Those are like the top 2 professions in the world now.
一応まあちょっと
Well, we called the Quest for Glory guy.
これもウィキペディアから見るしかないね。
I mean, these are probably more heroic in some senses, as long as you've got a really strong sense of capitalism. Alright, so we got the cameras turned off. I took a couple of failures in my electronic skills, but we never had a critical failure, which was set.
ウィキペディアはなんか日本版じゃないですね。やっぱり海外版準拠でちょっと書いてある感じですね。はい。なのでもし話が気になる方はウィキペディアのシャドウランを調べていただいた方がいいと思いますね。はい。ちょっと待ってね、そのリンク出しましょうか。ちょっと待って、リンク出しますからね。
So when I go back down to the first floor here, there's a guard that spawns directly on top of you. So I have to cast invisibility randomly between 12 and 48 seconds is the duration for it. So it's really unpredictable about how long this is going to last. And I just have to get to the end of this hallway down here. Well, a little bit past his line of sight, and then we should be good. So like right now, it's probably fine with invisibility more often. And I'll do it right there at the corner. And we have completed our first corporation run.
So the goal of the game is just to get rich.
That was one thing we had to do, just to be able to afford all of the taxi rides, because these are really, really expensive.
Yeah, they're expensive. I can definitely agree to that.
なんか全然ゲームが違うように見えてしまうからなんかわかる。
I know I explained it at the beginning kind of briefly, but you've got some pen and paper experience. Jump in there.
So you asked about the different types of shaman. And why the reason why they're called different things is the different animal spirits within the world that rose up when magic came back. Each one personifies a different sort of power and ability, which is why a rat shaman or a shark shaman or something like that would have choose a very specific focus. Also, what it tended to do is instead of the
キャラグラとあとさっきコメントでいただいたさっきの電脳空間のバトルが、まあ、削られてるっていう話ですね。
And that's when dragons started to come around. And if you learn one thing in Shadowrun, it's never deal with a dragon. Well, 2 things in Shadowrun. It's never deal with a dragon and geek the mage.
Alright, yeah, we're going to be dealing with a dragon and our mage is pretty geeky. So, we got most of that taken care of here. We're 1 for 2. And I'm just stopping here. So I'm going to go start the start quest. You asked about side quests as well. There's 2 side quests.
解説できる感じがしない。
Quick stuff that you do. You go on a run. It says, oh, hack into this corporation, go grab these files and so on, but there's two extensive side quests. One is Stark. Stark is this classical prototype character.
これはあれか
He's
ね
got really bad stats, but he starts at level 99, so basically like fully upgraded. And for a speedrun, that's
解説
amazing.
でき
Not
ない
bothering to level up at all.
どうしろとこれを
The karma system or level ups at all until like maybe like 3/4.
またエア解説する
It's unfortunate because it's a really cool system that they got here for Shadowrun. It's a super deep, like if you know Dungeons and Dragons, like all those concepts are going to be having analogs here in the Shadowrun universe.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of missing out on a lot of the core gameplay just because we're skipping by all of that. We're going to be super under-leveled and super under-geared throughout most of it. Right now I'm going to walk over to the Shinsharak, which is where the Indian elder tribes are. Basically, we're going to do this trip a couple times.
ああスーファミとメガ CD 版の間
Unlock additional parts of the quest storyline. This is going to let me get the second of the three big side quests, or second of the big three main quests out of the way. And we'll also be advancing the Stark quest. I'm doing these all interleaved together to reduce my total travel time.
Yeah, I got a lot of knowledge on D&D. What's that?
シリに聞いてもダメでしょ
It's a really cool system. This is set in 2nd edition Shadowrun, which is way, way old. They're
これはまあ
5th edition. They have
セカンドエディションっつったんで第2
So
番
they're still like actively making Shadowrun.
第2番の世界観ということなんで、世界観としては2053年
Grab the
ですかで
quick return trip on there. And I'll
進んでるということですかね
Done with Rihanna. Her one hacking
近未来ですね
Go ahead, sell off most of her stuff. I'm keeping these med kits in case we need to do some healing a little bit. So I'm gonna actually transfer those on to Joshua, our main character. I think I've ever said his name before. Now you know the main
Wait, we
character.
have a main character?
Kind of. He's really terrible.
Well, if you gain a few levels, I'm sure you
キャラがなかなかインパクトあるね
If you level up, and this is really what you're supposed to do for the runs throughout the game. So as you do the runs, you get these things called karma points. You get like 1 or 2.
これ2番目のキャラがステルス機能を使えるんですねだから
So combat's like
ずっとそれ進んでる感じですね
But
今更言うなっ
we're
て感
gonna
じです
get
け
all
ど
of like our karma points from just like the main storyline here overall. So that's
でタクシーを呼んで、違う地区に
for advancement, usually you have like a skill which in the range like 1 to 10, and it's like the same number.
移動した瞬間スキルを使ってますね
You need that many karma points to go and level it up. So those are the type of things they have for the system. And so you got kind of a choice between whether you want to super specialize in something and it costs really large amounts of karma to upgrade.
これであれかな
You want to go like a broad
ミッション受け負ったんかな
generalist, because that's always the classical RPG trap. If you go generalist, you're going to be really good in the beginning of the game, and then there's some point where you just hit a wall.
Yeah,
Where
jack of all
you gotta
trades.
have you gotta have some specialties. So I picked up a guy whose specialty is.
そうですなんか棒っぽいの持ってますね
Important throughout there. Really, I'm just gonna steal his weapon because we got something better.
あさっきの仲間にしたんですね
We're breaking into Fuji Corporation now. This is
うんそうだ
where
ね
the
任
Cyberheart is
務
captured.
達成のためにまあ仲間になったって感じですか
He
ね
was part of the same group that your brother was when your brother was killed, and so Stark was injured. Needed a Cyberheart so that he could actually be healthy enough to travel with you, and he's so amazing that you definitely want to do this. I am stuck on top of. I think.
どうしようこれ
There we go. Every once in a while, your characters become like non-pass-throughable, so like they actually have collision, and then you have to like, delicately untangle from stealing all Winston's stuff because he's not going to need it. Go ahead, kick him out of the party. Let's kick Ricky out as well because we're going to death warp out of here. So I got the Cyberheart out of that safe, and Joshua, of course, is a
一人になった
beast at combat. So you see him just take out all these guards. Oh wait, he's dead.
Hey, he took 2 hits, okay?
I'm actually impressed he took 2. I very, very rarely see him survive more than
He
1.
tanked some
ディスルですかね
Alright, so conveniently death warp back to the hospital, which is where we need to turn the heart in, so that saved me a bunch of walking there. So now I got the heart turned in, I can grab the trip over here to Puyallup again and pick up Stark finally. And now we don't have to skulk around. Instead of being in the shadows and hiding from everything, we can just blast away. I got the shotgun off of Winston Myers, which is basically the heaviest duty shotgun in the game. It's not actually my favorite, even though it has a little bit more attack power. It's got a really small ammo capacity, so you don't have nearly as many shots. And mostly, for me, just shooting things once is generally enough for the shotgun, and you don't really need the brutal power. I'm gonna go here to the crime mart, my favorite store in the game because it's just so on the up and up. You have nothing
プライムモール
all going on here. There's a whole bunch of illegal equipment and things that you can get, and that's part of the storyline also, is that there's the Lone Star cops, and they will try to confiscate anything illegal, including things like mag key cards, which is normally how you get into those locked doors. So you save up a whole ton of money, you get favor with the syndicate and all that, but you can't actually do anything until you have the trip over there. Actually, let me do one more thing as well.
やばい、解説ができない。わからない。
What's up?
Do you intend to vote for Dunkelzahn in 2032?
See, this is only second edition Shadowrun, so you gotta keep in mind that some of the lore that has happened in later Shadowrun games is not taking place yet, and that's going to be affecting us a little bit throughout here. But
no, they mean you.
Well, I mean, eligibility-wise, you gotta be in the right district.
シャドウランの思い出
I don't know
話
if I'm actually able to give the direct vote in there. I also started another side quest here. I should have done that earlier, which is to
シャドウランは一応
you can do that as soon as you go to the Shinshirak to get the Indian favor. And he's starting me off on probably the second biggest RNG after that Matrix run that I just did, which is to grab a bunch of monster parts. So we're going to need
同じところで表せるかな。
I'll be up in Puyallup that we can get a kind of like the abandoned building, which counts as wilderness, even though you're in the middle of a city. There's a couple of these throughout the game. Another one that has been suggested.
なんかシャドウランは最初辻切りが現れてなんかそれを解決していくみたいな話があったはずなんですけど違ったかな。
Right here, there is banner snatches, yetis, hellhounds, which we're going to want second. Don't want them right now. And there's also a bunch of random events that can happen throughout here as well. So I'm just going to spin around until I get my gargoyle. So Bob, this is a great time to get some donation comments.
Absolutely. So we have a $100 donation from Zyrak, who says, "Thank you for all of Dan's airship crashes and assorted other failures over the years. Good luck, Gator Shaman."
今操作キャラ変わってるんだね。 気づけば操作キャラを変えて銃ぶっ放してますけど。
We have Tiny Tim, who says, "Hey all, really enjoying the event so far, and especially this Shadowrun run." That's a tongue twister. Good luck, Gyre, and cheers.
Thank you very much, Gemma. And I just got the gargoyle horn. Second try is pretty good because there's 5, about 4 or 5 is like the average you want to see here. But we still have to do the Hellhounds next, so let's go ahead back to Spirit Eyes to get the second part of the quest done. And you can just keep reading donations, Bob.
Lovely. Echoing what I said earlier, I have a Bear87 who says, "Shadowrun taught me 2 things: never deal with a dragon and don't trust the elves. Good luck to all the runners and thank you for this marathon."
Thank you very much for that as well.
I have a $10.24 donation from Camelius. It says, "Hey Gyre, Camelius here. Quick question. Do you happen to know which dungeon floor Dan is currently guarding with his face? I only ask as I'm attempting to go get out and get donuts, and there are a few roan mechs on war mechs with bees. I tried to use Bane strats on them, and now they're putting their hands over their mouths and doing terrible Tom Hardy impersonations."
ちょっと待ってね。
Thank you very much there, Chiminis. And we do actually have some Final Fantasy coming later this week. There's going to be a Final Fantasy 1 Taz for the Nintendo Entertainment System. I will hopefully be there with the Axeman and Dwango AC to talk about that. And it is 4 white mages, which is a lovely, lovely time. So you're going to see some Bane Sword action there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hosting that one too. We have $25 from Monkey's Breath, who says, "Hey, Gyre, GLHF." Nice and simple.
Thank you very much, Monkey Breath.
Anger Bear donates $5 and says, "Question for Gyre. How many agamas does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?"
今ちょっと読んで場所調べて。
That an agama is actually a Tootsie Pop, but there are, as far as I know, only 3,000 agamas left in the Shadowrun universe. They're now an endangered species, so we're not allowed to kill any of them here. I would love to for the extra experience.
ああ、
Turbo
ありがとうございます。
Turbo Dog donates $5. "Hey Bob, you forgot the 3rd major rule of Shadowrun. Never get in the way of the high threat response unit or the SOS Dock Wagon." Okay, fair enough.
We have actually seen the Dock Wagon. You get the Dock Wagon after that introduction where we went to the greenhouse and got shot for the very first time. So the Dock Wagon basically is a wristband that takes you back to the last hospital that you met. And that's where I'm doing all my Death Wars back to. In this game, Seattle General Hospital is the only hospital that you use it for. But in a pen and paper Shadowrun, that's basically your kind of revival mechanism, is you get the wristband, you get sent back to the hospital if something unpleasant happens, which is usually pretty frequent because this game is extremely brutal. You need giant sacks of dice, and the dice are not kind whenever you have combat for them.
Yeah, at least it makes sense, because like every other game, you die and you end up like in a church or in a hospital bed. It's like, what adventure went into the bottom of a volcano to drag out your body just so you can live to fight another day?
And I'm still looking for my hellhounds here, so Bob, keep up those donations.
I have a donation here from, well, even mentioning his name might be a problem. Mr. MV. He donates $100 and says, you know what? I'd like a
そう、
remake
日本では
with Cormac.
この
Thank you very much, Mr. MV. Now I'm not
シャドウランは出てないの
forever.
でね、
But hellhounds, like, okay, so
困るよね。
most of the time it's about an average of 5. And the one time that I've had a practice run go overestimate, it was 25th try for the gargoyles showing up. They're usually the easy one for me, though. Now the hellhounds is one where we're going to get those spawns happening here. And hellhounds are probably the most dangerous thing in this game for a couple of reasons. There is a basically a flame breath that they have, which kind of doesn't really check your armor, but there's a second glitch, which is that the wired reflexes that Starks has equipped from the beginning, you can't remove them. It makes his melee combat much better. Makes
ああ、日本ではこれ一応英語であるけど、全然別物。
So hellhounds are like the super awful thing that once I finish getting this pelt, I never want to see him again.
You know, hellhounds, they act almost like agamas, you know.
ああ、
I wouldn't say that they're that cute and
海外版はジェネシスなのでメガ CD じゃないんですね。メガ CD だと全然違う。
There's one pelt, that's all I need, and looks like the other ones are kind of coming down, so if I can get out of their aggro radius, even though we have not killed them all, let me out. And that is the first two things that Spirit Eyes wants.
まさかのメガ CD か。
And this is where Bob's advice may not be fully followed, is that he does want a dragon feather.
だから俺はこうやって、まあちょっと待って、大変だな。
Of course, just like gigantic skyscrapers that will destroy you, but we're going to go befriend the dragon here in a little bit, and that's how we're going to get this last bit of the quest out of the way. There we go, checked in.
So does Shadowrun is it just Seattle area, or is this just this game that's focusing in this area?
So the basic premise of Shadowrun is across the world this has happened, but Seattle is where a lot of the storyline is set and like the main focus of the universe. So if you think about like Dungeons and Dragons type adventures where you have certain recurring areas.
Yeah, Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, this is the Forgotten Realms, is Seattle in this game.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to do another Shinsharak trip here. This is going to be double duty. We've got to turn in our Feather Quest and also go ahead and drop some pie off at Red Buffalo Woman's house. So I'm going to be doing some walking. You've seen this walk before, so I think this is a great time to go ahead and give Bob another donation opportunity while I'm doing it. Before we get into the hot and heavy parts of the game.
Appreciated. David K.I. sends $100 and says, what do you mean I can't be king? I want to give a huge thank you to Laurie and Corey for joining me on my run. It meant a lot to me. And I also want to give shout outs to the tech crew for making this run possible. This event doesn't happen without you. Thank you.
And David, thanks again for that wonderful questing for glory there. That's been in the marathon or in events that you've run, High Spirits.
Yeah,
a couple times.
I heard there was some small event that was created with the Quest for Glory namesake in it.
Tell us a little bit about that, because that's something that, you know, not everybody can go into these big marathons. So you got like the Games Done Quick events, the RPG Limit breaks, but there's all kinds of online marathons.
So there was a
great one to get started
marathon a couple years ago that I created that you can find here on the RPG Limit Break channel, usually every November, and it's called Questing for Glory. It's basically an online only marathon. It's no charities. It's just a chance for runners to play RPGs, to get a chance to show them off, especially lesser known ones, bigger ones, new runners, old runners. And yeah, we're pretty much very inclusive when it comes to all RPGs, and we've had it 2 years so far, and it's been extremely successful. And I look forward to working with Plexel and RPG Limit Break for year 3 later in the year.
And it's really awesome, because it means that there's more stuff on the RPG Limit Break
More
channel.
RPGs.
That's always what we want to see around here. All right, so we're at the Shinsharak.
お、新しいとこが来ましたね。
Say that we don't want to take the helicopter ride out. Very important that I don't misclick that, because we have to do the Liquor Tricks. The Liquor Tricks is basically about halfway to the Shinsharak in terms of the way that it's linked up in there. Just one of the dragons in the world. For some reason, this dragon is being harassed by Renraku's strike team. And these guys are so totally ineffectual that I have no idea how they're pinning a dragon down. We're going to go ahead, give them a visit. This whole case sequence, by the way, it's just like a Zelda Lost Worlds, or yeah, basically the Lost Forest area. So when you walk around in here, every time you go through there,
ちょっと今ひたすら
seemingly the same maps, but they don't
ちょっと
always go to the same
ウ
destination.
ォークスルー読んでる途中なんでちょっと
places.
待ってくださいね。
This is one of
多
the
分
things
追い
I
つか
was
ないけど
frustrated with when I played Shadowrun casually is that first of all, the world's really, really big. Tons of buildings, tons of areas I can go to, not all of which are needed for the main storyline or even have bits of quest in them. And then you get to this section where all of those careful bits of mapping. I always love the maps in a lot of the 80s RPGs. Like if you think about the modern one like Etrian Odyssey, which is the one that's kept up the mapping spirit. It used to do that for like every single RPG.
シャドウランのゲームをよくやったことないからわからないんですけど、この RTS だとさっきの入ってた電脳世界はもうこのゲームでは見ることはないですね。残念ながら。特殊なシステムだったんだけど、使う必要なかったのか。
So he's got all these upgrades and his body armor basically means that the low caliber weapons are just gonna.
でも悲しい話ですね。
On the other hand, he is made out of tissue paper, but we're gonna do a death warp out of here once we get this feather. So go ahead and Liquortrix has a but thou must.
なんかまあね、あれをやることでなんか能力を解放するみたいな感じですね。だから最初にあれをちょっとやる必要があって、でそれを解放したらまあそれを解放して進んでるって感じですね。必要最低限取って。じゃあ違うな、ちょっと違うな。アクセスしてるだけか。必要なところにアクセスしてるだけだな。すいません、ちょっと。
やりたいことをやったら、時間が惜しいからデスルーラーをするという。
Right back here to pull up here, grab Stark again. So once you have Stark, he's free to recruit, but there's 100 yen cover charge to get to the building. So basically he costs 100, which is much cheaper than most of the other runners that are out there.
Yeah, the other runners out there donated their goods, so you can keep getting them.
All right, one more. Well, there's a couple more trips back to Redmond. This is to go rescue Eileen Two-Fist. So Eileen is the other samurai. Stark and Eileen are like the two best samurais in the game. Eileen you just get as part of the main storyline. She's the opposite. She's got some really low starting stats and no equipment, but she levels up amazingly. So I would like recommend like Eileen's probably the person you want to or get like double samurai because they're a really good class here overall. Now normally there's a big prison break sequence out of Hollywood Prison, but we're gonna just talk to Mr. Murderer here. Say have a nice day, and now there's a glitch which causes Eileen to spawn into like every jump house in the game because they did this little bit of a hack to make her appear in the prison after this break-in sequence. But we're just gonna go in here with Ricky where there's
このグリッチとか言ってるのはゲーム内でいうグリッチのこと言ってるんだろうけど。
For some reason, like it's a really funky little one in there, but we got her now. So her quest is now done. That's gonna be our last little bit of the Indian friendship that we need to grab. So we can go back over to Council Island, turn in the Liquortrix Feather, which this quest storyline has been all about trying to figure out who is actually the main bad guy. We have no idea why we're here. We just showed up in Redmond one day.
今ランナーのジャイルさんが、まあ、この話の根幹は誰がその殺したかっていうのをちゃんとやるっていう、まあ、最初に僕が言ったやつですね。まあ、それを探すのにいろいろこの混在された世界観の中進むという。
So some kind of demons coming in, blah blah blah. You know the RPG storyline about the big bad evil guy, and so we got to stop him.
And you're always going to be 5 minutes late.
We're actually mostly on time on this one. So this one is going to subvert that a little bit, but all the rest of your expectations are going to be fully met by Thun here at the end.
Them tropes, yo.
Well, it's good that we got a villain because I was starting to think this was just an MMO with a bunch of side quests.
I mean, if you're playing this game casually, you're probably just spending hours doing the hacking mission runs. Oh man, these hellhounds. All right, I got some medkits. Let's try to get Stark up there. Again, these are the worst thing to find. All right, got him. But overall, like, you probably spend just so much time on the hacking missions. Like, you gain favor with the syndicates who are like the mafia groups, and they can give you some illicit goods to break into corporations. Like, there's all kinds of really cool plot storylines. We're just having to skip most of them because, first of all, we don't need the keys. So unlocking all the doors is one of the really big.
今いろいろ探してるんだけど、あんまりなんかストーリーについての詳しいのがないんですよね。
super weapons.
なんかその中の世界観のそれぞれについての説明は結構あるんですけど、
You can take out a lot of random encounters here with a
ストーリー的な解説なのがあんまりない。
The final boss,
あまりとか
there is just like a big gigantic pile of healing I'm going to bring with me. That's enough to get through the fight. And that's the way that I treat most of this run is be like super undergeared, underleveled, but move as fast as possible so that people cannot keep up with you.
And bring lots and lots of medkits.
Lots of medkits and lots of bandages too. I mean, Just was supposed to have a healing ability as a Gator Shaman. Healing is actually his bonus ability.
Oh, so he does have something.
But he just never uses it. So, the AI in this game, pretty similar in terms of quality to the AI in Dragon Warrior 4. So,
メインクエストとしては3つ
They wave their sword of lethargy.
あるみたい
This has played a lot of Dragon Warrior.
ですね。
Dragon Quest 4 later in the week, which is the DS version that allows you to actually control your characters, which I think takes about 90% of the fun out of the game, but
これ合っ
it's
てんの
still
かな。
really, really fun to play. So hopefully you guys can tune into Clear Tonic's run of that. I believe Thursday night. Wow, another.
Is it Thursday or Friday night? I always forget which one.
It is coming later this week. Check the schedule.
Sometime this week, this marathon.
There will be more Dragon. I'm wearing my Dragon Warrior shirt because today is the Dragon Warrior randomizer race.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
gonna
see
be
that. Not that far from
Not
now.
next, which is Planescape Torment, but after that is where we're going to have our Dragon Warrior randomizer crew.
It's actually happening on the 10th, so that will be Friday.
All right, so Dragon Quest 4 DS on Friday.
あ、なんか新しい人が出てきた。
Both High Spirits
なんだこれ。
our donation incentives towards having Taloon.
誰だ今の。
The sprite for that game, because Taloon is of course your best character ever.
今新しい人出てきたけど。
Update on that. Currently, the Dragon Warrior randomizer player sprite is going to be the Black Mage.
I mean, it's pretty good. I'm going to say it's still pretty good,
That's
but not as good as
basically
Taloon.
Dan. That's basically
I
Dan.
mean,
I
if
just
you
want
want
to know.
Taloon, you gotta do some work because the Black Mage has $235, and Taloon's lagging only slightly behind at 68.
All right, guys, get your donations in.
Well, Netta just finally let him go out and be a shopkeeper now, so he has time to grow.
All right, so that was the karma system I just did. You go to an inn, you spend your karma points. I needed to bump up the reputation on Joshua to get into this next area. That's the only thing that you're absolutely required to do for karma in the entire speedrun. But I also grab a little bit of body as well for Starcade. I'll grab body for the other runners I'm going to use in the final boss as well, just to get body's basically your equivalent of hit points. So every point of body you get another 10 hit points or so.
お、なんか
That helps a lot for
大事な戦闘っぽいのが。
Joshua dies almost instantaneously.
Yeah, like every 2 hits.
I have a donation with a question for you. The question is, what's your favorite megacore?
めっちゃ
And don't let
めっ
my
ちゃ回
title
復させてる。
influence your decision. And that was sent by the Horizon PR department.
これが日本人のっぽいな。これ
すごい悪そうな顔。
マコ総長っていうのかなこれ多分。
If those
伊
of
藤
you
大
out
神
there
これか
that
な
have a corporate sin want to say you're their favorite, maybe donate some more money to the marathon.
もう
We
半
might
分
favor you.
半分も後半終わって感じですね。
So I'm going to do the side quests here. So we got Mako we just took out, and then Ito Ogami here is a really cool dude. He just brings his entire office to the bar. So we're back in Match the Club, which is where we recruited Rihanna earlier. And we're going to take this another group down here. So nice. Load the melee guy into the line.
ここだな。やっと見切れた。
Clips onto Stark.
今さっき言ってたのは伊藤大神を殺すっていう話ですね。
And clips are just like a percentage load, so you can transfer them between any weapons that you want. There we go. There. I don't know why he brings his death.
で伊藤大神さんを殺しちゃうみたいですね。
So that is the last little bit that we need to be able to get into Renrocky with. I'm going to drop these medkits. We're not going to need them much after this little bit of the game.
Can I bash a couple of donations out here?
Yes, we're about to the end games. This is your last chance to get donations.
All right, here we go. Dragon37398 donates $10 and say you find a cred stick with $10 on it. The irony wears off after a few minutes. Theronia donates $25 and says beautiful run and excellent commentary as always. I love this guy. Please don't be too mad at Dan. Also, hey, High Spirits. Hotbot donates $25 and says, thanks for the awesome commentary between Gyre, High Spirits, and Bob. I'm sure they can almost make the history of Melmond audio book worth listening to.
Nobody can make Melmond
almost. Good luck. Have fun.
All right, thank you very much. I grabbed Ricky back again because we're going to do another one of those corporation break-ins. This is Renraku, and there's just like in the world of Shadowrun, corporations rise and fall. Like basically, they're the equivalent of nation states. So once you have a big corporation, you have your own independence, and they'll be conquered by various other corporations. That's like the metagame of Shadowrun, is the corporation play. You're usually just the peon that is doing things at their whims. Let me see if I can sneak past that camera there. Looks good there.
But can you own your own corporation someday?
後ろの人丸見えなんですけど、まあ対象は一番前に歩いて操作してる人だけみたいなんで、まあ見つからないということで。
It's impossible to get into this place, but because we unlocked all the doors in the game, we can just go ahead, stroll right in, and grab one half of the plans for where Thon is going to be resurrected. And so that is this place right here. And it triggers the alarm, but it's actually kind of funky about how they implemented it. They assumed you wouldn't have an alarm already active, so all they do is just toggle it. So if the alarm's already on, it turns it off instead of turning it on. Do a quick death warp back out of there. And,
一瞬で死んじゃったけど。
PR department are back again.
あ、死んでしまった。
They said your answer has been noted and your P2.0 score will be updated accordingly.
Luckily, I have a guy that can sneak me through those places, so I should be okay once I get Stark back here for the last time. He's going to be my bodyguard throughout this. So this is now the very, very late game section. And it also kind of feels a little bit like there was some stuff cut out. So we went to the Shinsharaki.
死んだからまたあれですかね。またさっきの同じ仲間を。
These are basically people that kept their magic around between the ages. So they're like they're not like the deities of the universe, but they're like super, super powerful. And they're generally involved in a lot of storylines overall. This is actually the Sega Genesis game, the only one of the video games I believe that is actually canonical in the Shadowrun storyline.
That is correct, yeah.
So Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, whole bunch of PC games as well have come out. So they're still releasing Shadowrun video games, and it's really nice because you don't need gigantic sacks of dice to play them.
まあ今でもシャドウランシリーズはゲームで出てるということなんで。
$10 donation from Eat the Pen who says, inspired by an earlier donation, and I apologize to everyone in advance. I met him on a Monday and my heart stood still. Shadow run, run, the shadow run, run. Somebody told me his name was Bill.
まあシャドウラン香港とかシャドウランクロニクルボストンロックダウンとかなんかそういうので出てるみたいですね。
If I didn't know better, I think Dine donated that.
I guess I'm the only one here lost.
Probably for the best. All right, so this is where it feels like they cut something out. So there are these two Mr. Johnsons, and the Mr. Johnsons are kind of the
箱丸であったのを僕も知ってますね。なんか刀持った人がなんか思いっきり振りかぶってるジャケットのやつですよね。
And that's where I kind of feel like there should be more questing, because the Red Rock area, that's like you had to do a whole bunch of stuff normally in the game to be able to break in there. But now we got the two halves of the map. We're going to go back, visit Harlequin one more time, and that's actually access to the end boss. So we are basically like 90 seconds away from being done here normally in a speedrun. But I'm going to do a little bit of safety, which is to drop out an inn, do some more upgrades to my body. That way we don't have to worry about Ricky and Joshua dying nearly as often during the final boss fight. And I'm ignoring all these quests. So usually in the quests, there is kind of like two versions of like all the quests, one of which if you answer a positive response to, it turns out you picked the wrong one. So it's always a little bit of a dodgy situation to do those. And so for the speedrun, you just want to ignore all of them. But it's a way to get a lot of interesting stuff for the universe out of the way. It's just every couple of seconds.
これラスボスって言ってるけど。もうすぐラスボスだってさっき言ったけど、どれだろう。
多分このまま行って、なんでしょう、この敵。大きめの犬みたいな。ああ、もうここは最後のステージです。
You're locked in here with, but remember we unlocked all the doors in the game, so we're just going to walk right past them and ignore this entire sequence for it and go into the final boss fight here. And you have what looks like a rat wearing a robe
あ、
is the
こ
final
の
boss. And
犬
then
ね
the big guy in the middle is the final boss. So they didn't quite get the character model.
ファイナルボスこれ
What I would consider accurate for it. We're just gonna give him a couple shots. Once the two henchmen go down, it's basically a time fight here. So we're gonna have to get characters up so that we have some targets for
Trauma
Fawn
patch.
to go after. And I just like shooting with the shotgun, even though it doesn't really do much once you have the minimum amount of health down. There's also a glitch that if you have hacked the game to do too much damage, it will break this sequence entirely for liquor tricks coming in at the end. So you have to be a little bit careful that you don't go crazy with like the super weapons and things. Because I've got none of that stuff though. We're gonna be perfectly fine, and that is Shadowrun time.
で、ここからドラゴン出てきて、あ、ここで終わりなのか。この後のカット、このカット出た終わりかと思ったんですけど、ここでタイマーストップですね。そうです、ここで GG になるかなと思って、GG です。
まあ
よくわかる。
海外だと最後の操作が終わりなんで、基本的に。
なるほど。
今さっきの多分ボス戦が終わって終わりだったんでしょうね。
Before you go, Gyre, the As Technology Mega Corporation would like to thank you for your interest in As Technology Mega Corporation, and we here at the As Technology value your mental health.
Thank you very much. I want to thank two people as well. Reinhold, who was
すいませんでした皆さん。全然なんか
wasn't able to do commentary. He's a Shadowrun.
グダになって
メガ CD かと思っていけるかなと思ったら無理でした。すいませんでした。完全に初見でしたね。皆さんすいませんでした本当。
Let's hear it one more time for Gyre.
はい、というわけで、シャドウランでした。すいません皆さん本当なんか一応いろいろ調べたんですけど全然なんかどんどん進んじゃってるんでやっぱりちょっとできなくてすいませんでした。で次が、プレインスケープトーナメントですね。
プレインスケープトーナメントエンハンスドエディションですね。 エンハンスとか。